It seems like just yesterday, NFR Podcast was covering this Utopia rollout, and 2 years later, we're finally at the release date. Listen, man, I'm super hyped, guys, and in today's video, we're going to be going through all the latest updates for Travis Scott's new album, Utopia, the final one before we actually get the album this Friday, and we will be doing a live album reaction to Travis Scott's Utopia with our entire community. It's going to be a massive night. You guys don't want to miss it. Check the pinned comment for our Patreon plan. But Lou, let's get into this. How you feeling?
I'm feeling amazing, bro. I mean, I saw him tweet out, Utopia July 28th. I'm like, is this even fucking real, bro? Like, we've been waiting for this announcement to officially come for the longest time, and it actually came in Miami at the end of his Rolling Loud performance when he said, Utopia, I'll see you in a couple of days. I'm dropping a movie in theaters with my album on Friday. I'll see you next week in Utopia. And we were actually there live to witness it. Amazing performance, and he seemed super eager, bro, to give us a taste of the new music, which he did play some snippets, which we'll get into when we talk about the track list. But super exciting time right now. And take us through this movie, bro. How do you feel about the whole Circus Maximus trailer that came out, and just the idea that there's going to be a movie accompanying the album?
Well, listen, already off the bat, I really like the visuals because it's kind of trippy in approach to a certain extent. Like, it's weird the way that it starts off and the way that it progresses through, at least for the trailer. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys. If you want to go watch it, it is out right now.
Well, there's not much to spoil. It's just like a bunch of different, like, a compilation of scenes. You have,
I would
police cars in hot pursuit. You have Travis
but I would
Scott,
rather people, like,
performing.
I know, but let people go watch it for themselves. I'm telling you, it's nice. It's going to get you hyped for the album, and what else I could say about it, too, is that it kind of gets me wondering what he's going to go with the approach for this movie, tying it along with the album, because one thing's for sure, I feel like a lot of stuff has happened in Travis Scott's career in the past 5 years, especially coming off of Astroworld. You have this massive rise to fame and this massive blow up off of an album that sells over 500,000 copies first week, and now I feel like he's maybe going to explain the trials and motions of that in the new album, and that's what I kind of got out of the vibe of the trailer as well, is that there might be like a personal sentiment to it as well, kind of like the last Astroworld documentary.
I don't think it's going to be an Astroworld documentary. I don't think it's going to be a documentary about the album at all. I think it's going to be an actual feature film where Travis is maybe not even playing himself necessarily. You know what I mean?
You think so? Okay, so you think that it's going to be a completely different concept?
I think it might be a fictional film, and I think the reason for that is that, like, in one of the shots, you see, like, a UFO. At least it looks like a UFO. You see, like, this cult-like meeting and organization of people, and I'm like, there is still Travis with a mic in his hand.
Okay, so do you think it might be like a runaway situation where you get this short film behind maybe the entire album rather than one track? Because that's what I was thinking. I'm like, maybe it's going to be a documentary about the process up to Utopia.
Because we do know that he's shot this film in Nigeria, France, Italy, and 2 other countries. So it's been shot in 5 different countries. You're definitely going to be seeing a lot of different scenery, and I think that he's going to want to convey the themes of the album, which is finding Utopia, which is wherever you are. So maybe it's going to be, representing different experiences he had during these trips. Maybe it's going to be showcasing different ways of life in different countries.
I already love the lore around the documentary.
It's really cool, bro.
It is really cool.
Again,
it's kind of open up.
Maybe not a documentary. It's not been labeled a documentary.
That's true. You know what? You are right about that, because I do feel like it would be cool to go into either direction just because the first documentary was received so well. But okay, let's get into some actual tracks that are apparently confirmed at this point.
And this is very interesting because the track list is always a major, topic of conversation for us. So we have K-pop featuring Bad Bunny in The Weeknd, which a lot of people think is going to be the lead single. But when Travis went on iHeartRadio, he said, this is something for the fans before the rawness. So does that mean that it's not even on the album? Does that mean it's a bonus track? Maybe, but I think he'd be a bit crazy to not include it just because of how well it's going to do streaming-wise. So I think that's pretty much a lock to be on Utopia at this point. Yeah. We also have Lost Forever, which at one point at least featured West Side Gun and James Blake.
Do you think he keeps the West Side Gun feature on the song?
I hope so. I mean, it was beautiful to see those 2 worlds mesh. I mean, you have coke rap and psychedelic hip-hop coming together. I never would have thought they would work together, but it sounds amazing, and he's been performing it time and time again.
It, okay, because the thing is that this was a song I feel like was performed well, especially in person. Like, the whole crowd was actually catching on to it. But let's talk about God's Country, because this was something that was actually teased while we were at the festival. And I know you don't feel too strong on it. I know you're not a big fan of the sampling back. I absolutely love it, but just to give you guys some context about the single, this was apparently meant for a Kanye West album. And originally, if you go listen to the snippets on YouTube, there is a Kanye feature on it, so that's still kind of unconfirmed at this point if Kanye's gonna make it. as of what we listened what we listened to on Friday didn't have it, but who knows? Maybe last minute you get a surprise feature.
Absolutely. I mean, because like we were saying, he didn't even play the West Side Gun feature. So maybe he just wanted to do his own parts for the performance. But the next batch of songs we're going to talk about actually showed up on different screens in Rolling Loud. And it's apparently these song titles written in the Utopian language, which stems from a novel by Thomas More, but some people deciphered them. So these are the 5 that we have. The first one is called Till Further Notice, which was actually the same title for a leak that came out a couple of years ago that featured 21 Savage and James Blake, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
2 artists that he's always fucking working with. The next song is called Sirens. The one after that is called Del Resto. Another leak.
This was a leak in
from
2021.
that featured Bon Iver, James Blake, and Kanye West, produced
by Hit-Boy.
Hit-Boy.
So that's going to be very interesting. So let's go on to the next one. The next one I have is called
Harina? I think Harina.
Rena, because there's an H and there's an R. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys, I don't know if I pronounced that properly
Whatever.
or not. But
Harina,
listen,
Harena.
that's what it spells out. Then you have Modern Game. So listen, it's interesting because now the track list is starting to develop and we could kind of understand what type of direction he's going into at this point. But
There's
what do you
also
make
more, though. There's also other songs that have been leaked over the last couple of years that a lot of people think might be featured on Utopia, including Cinderella featuring Future and Metro Boomin. This was actually previewed at the Road to Utopia residency, I think at the Zouk nightclub or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
so
then you had Gold Blackberry.
people are not sure if Cinderella is going to be on Utopia or the Future and Metro album, so we'll see.
Yeah, then after that you ended up having Gold Blackberry, which was played on the radio. That's interesting. Playing a leak on the radio, seeing what happens with that.
Yeah, testing the waters, I guess.
I
and
like
the other
that
one that
method.
I'm really excited about is called Vision. And this was actually a song previewed in 2020 from a Kylie and Kendall Jenner cosmetics commercial. I don't know if you remember that one.
Yes, I do.
Sounds so catchy, bro. Like undeniable
You
grooves.
see, but these are the ones that are kind of in limbo at the moment.
And
Like,
another one is called Heartbeat. But like you were saying, they're in limbo. We don't know if we're going to get them. What are the sure bets? I think that Lost Forever, God's Country,
And K-pop.
are
I think
probably
those
sure
are the
bets.
absolute
Yeah.
sure best to make the album at this point. I mean, Lost Forever has been teased since. When did the first tease come up? I think it was 2022, early 2022, more or less.
Something like that.
More or less, and he's been playing it at every single show he's been at. Then you get God's Country, that we know is an actual collaboration between Kanye and Travis. We'll see if the Kanye feature
It's
ends up
very
making
interesting
it through.
because based on those 2 songs, the vibe is totally different from what you get on K-pop. And I hope that Travis does go with this darker, futuristic, more eerie type of aesthetic for Utopia and not like the easy breezy, dance hall, smooth grooves type of song like a K-pop was. That's just super poppy. I hope that's not the sound, and I don't think it will be the sound, but
I think you're gonna get a mesh of different
Yeah,
sounds. I don't think it's
probably.
gonna stick to one aesthetic. Well, none of his track lists have kind of done that in the past.
Yeah.
Even looking at Astroworld, looking at Birds, looking at DBR, Rodeo, all of these track lists were super diverse in approach, and it's always the sequencing that carries these projects. You might see a dark shift maybe in tone in the album, but
Yeah.
okay. Speaking about K-pop, let's actually get into the confirmed features because at this point, kind of understand where things are going. The Weeknd and Bad Bunny. Listen, if K-pop ends up making the album like we all think it should, then
They're locked.
Those are locked. Then after that, you have West Side Gun, and then after that, you have James Blake on Lost Forever. That's if the original snippet, stays intact and everything goes as planned. After that, you have Sway Lee and Travis Scott coming back for another collaboration, and I believe this was previewed by Chase B in what year? I think it was what?
yeah, this
2023?
year. It was early 2023.
It was February.
So yeah, it was a performance they were doing together at a club, and Chase B ended up throwing it on, and they were both getting hyped to it, but it only had Sway Lee vocals. So we don't know if it's exactly going to be for Utopia, but it looks like it could be.
I'm a bit less sure about that one.
I
That's
don't know.
the one I'm not
Sway
sure
Lee,
about.
he hopped on 2 out of the 3 studio albums from Travis, so I wouldn't be surprised. Then you also have Kanye West, who might be on God's Country, or the song Del Resto.
And then also you have SZA, who is very likely to make it as well, because not only was she spotted, well, her bodyguard was spotted with
Yeah.
the Utopia briefcase, but she also showed up in the K-pop video.
She's
which is
gonna
pretty
be on
cool.
the album.
I hope. Listen,
Yeah.
I want to see another collaboration anytime that they come together. It's absolutely beautiful.
Who else
but-
do you want to see on this? I know we always talk about this, but has anything changed? Like, as long as
generic-
you don't say Baby Keem.
I
You
give
can't say Baby
I
Keem.
give you the generic Baby Keem one. No, honestly, West Side Gun has to be a lock.
Yeah.
If West Side Gun is not on Lost Forever, I feel like the record does not hold as much weight.
Okay,
for me.
but who that isn't like, supposedly featured would you want to see on you? You could say Kid Cudi. You could say whatever the fuck you
Kid
want.
Cudi's kind of basic. I could also say Drake, but that's probably going to happen at a certain point.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
that wouldn't be a surprise.
that wouldn't be a surprise to me. Who else could I say in this type of situation?
Donnie T.
Who hasn't he collaborated
Cal
with?
Uchis is someone that people are talking about.
But that's what I'm trying to tell you, though, is that regardless, who haven't you seen Travis collaborate
I know, but
with?
I want to see some more like Tame Impala type of collaborations. There's even this dream pop group called Beach House that I've been listening to lately, and they make like dream pop, psychedelic pop, and I'm like, wow, Travis Scott would like mesh so well with this duo. So maybe Beach House ends up being on it. That's a fucking stretch, but when we'll end up seeing what we end up getting, I think that you're bound to get the usual Travis collaborators, the Migos, the Thugs. You know what I mean?
I don't
like,
think, Migos make the track list at this point. I think you're
I
gonna get
wouldn't
Young
be
Thug
surprised.
for sure. I think you're gonna get Young Thug for sure. That should absolutely be a lock at this point. But
For sure,
all right,
Quavo.
let's get into the album direction. So. Not only do we have tracks confirmed at this point, we have a full blown rollout in effect right now. We have features confirmed for the album. We have a new single. You kind of understand where this thing's going. So, where do you think it's going? Let me throw that back at you. Where do you think it's going, and how do you think people will receive this when it comes to Friday?
it's going to be interesting because I think that, like you said, you are going to have a myriad of sounds in terms of having your psychedelic hip hop that he's known for, having your darker, aggressive trap beats on the project, getting these really elaborate transitions within the song, these multifaceted beats like the sicko modes.
Not only that, but I
are
also,
really
I
impressive.
also feel like you're going to get a lot of euphoric type of productions as well, like something like a Skeletons or Astro Thunder, for example, where they're not necessarily dark, but they have this beautiful psychedelic tone to the production, and it gets you immersed into Travis's world. And those are the types of productions that I'm coming to a Travis album for, and that I want to see happen. It's yet to be understood if this is going to be a long album or not. The track list, as far as the amount goes, has not been spoken about at this point. So, what's your official prediction?
That's what I wanted to talk about.
Do you want to do an
too.
over or under?
Let's do an over or under. I'm gonna say over 20. I think it's gonna be 21 to 22 songs. I feel like when artists take such a long time off from making music, they almost feel obliged to have to like overcompensate and give the fans like fucking 25 song albums, like we saw like fucking Uzi and Cardi do with their last releases. So I wouldn't be surprised if Utopia does end up being 22, 23 songs. And another theory that sort of like helps us see the vision for this being a long track list is the fact that you could have a double-sided album with Dystopia and Utopia.
So you think that's going to happen?
I don't think it's going to happen. I think you will have your dark and light side, though.
Well, maybe that's going to get branded then as the Dystopia side and then the Utopia
It could be.
side.
It would be cool, though, right?
That would be very cool.
Yeah.
And then maybe you find K-pop on like the latter end of the track list. I mean, that would be pretty
What
cool.
about
But,
you, over or under 20?
I think he's going to do over 20.
Yeah.
I think he's going to do over 20, but I don't think it's going to be like 26 to 27 songs. And listen, if it is, then if there's one guy that could attack that number, it is Travis.
It is him, yeah. And in terms of the actual sound of the album, he said it's psychedelic rock, which K-pop is not psychedelic rock, so I don't fucking know. And he also said this album reminds him of the Rodeo and Al Faro days, which tells me that you're going to get raw Travis, him going into his rapping bag. And he's also been producing a lot of songs, apparently, for this album, which is also exciting. But more than anything, I think we could both agree, bro, like, we just want a new universe to be built with new characters, new messages, and, new insight on where Travis is at right now in his career. Like, that's really the major thing.
For me, I think it has to be building upon this new sound that I've been hearing, like a Lost Forever in God's Country. Just, it sounds way too good. Just being able to really immerse himself in psychedelic hip hop, which I think personally he's the best at as far as the mainstream goes at this point in time. And to be able to get that return from him this Friday would be a dream come true
I
for
think
me.
that the thing is, like, the aesthetic, matters more than anything. And speaking about the aesthetic, we just got the third cover for Utopia. This is what it looks like. What does this tell you about the album? Because
I think it's gonna
this
be
was shot in
dark,
Nigeria
dude.
in 2008, and you have a guy holding, dollar bills or some sort of cash bills in his hand in the passenger seat of a car. So what does that
I think
tell
it's
you?
gonna be dark. It reminds me of like old Call of Duty sort of aesthetic to a certain extent. You know, like when they used to do like their DLC packaging and shit like that. It's really cool. It's awesome to see, and I know a lot of people didn't like it because it kind of threw them off. But in my head, I'm like,
This is cool as
this
fuck.
is really cool. This is gonna really fit the vibe of the album if it's going here. Because now the thing is that we have more alternative covers that we'll be releasing, guys. So there's gonna be another one that drops on Thursday, I believe.
Thursday will be the official cover.
Thursday
That's
will
when
be
it
the
comes
official
out.
cover, and then after that, well, you get the album.
Exactly. So I mean,
You get the album.
it's cool though that he's feeding us bit by bit. But I want to jump into like the expectations in the first week sales. I think that people are gonna be mad if this album isn't good, bro. Like the fans have been waiting. It's been hyped up to be this fucking Mecca album, this album that's worth being performed at the fucking pyramids. Like there is immense hype
I think
about this release.
regardless of how good this album is, people will still find a way to dislike
Yeah.
it, either because of personal choice or them buying too much into the hype of the marketing. I think that's where it's probably going to
Yeah.
go. What I suggest everyone to do on Friday, really try this out. Do not go in with any expectations. Please, you will ruin your listening experience. Go in, experience a new sound, enjoy it for what it is, because at the end of the day, I love these mainstream releases, but it judges the way people get into the music and the experience.
Listen,
I will say this, though. Hold on, I'm not finished my point. I will say
I
this.
disagree
though.
with you, but keep going.
I will say this. I know you disagree with me. You always do. When it comes down to the actual music itself, if people are going to be disappointed because the quality is not on par, then it's just not on par. I don't see that happening. It's the track record of Travis Scott has been fantastic so far. He is a top tier tastemaker. I don't see a world where this goes
And that's
south.
why this album needs to be so good, is that Travis has set that standard of excellence when it comes to making an album. And this is the longest amount of time he's ever fucking had
you see,
to
I
craft
like
an
it.
album.
I
The other
like
thing,
it.
too, is that you're having people like Sheck West coming out and being like, this is better than Astroworld. You're having a lot of people buzzing about this fucking album, and I can't blame the fans for having these sky-high expectations. And I also think that, as a fan myself, I'm not expecting this to be psychedelic raps or trap music's Illmatic. I'm just saying that this needs to be a great fucking album. We've waited.
Oh, for
He's someone
sure.
who's known to give us quality time and time again.
Travis Scott,
It's gotta be good, bro.
If Travis
It's gotta
Scott
be
cannot
good.
deliver quality, then who can?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the question at hand. At that point, everyone's up for questioning. What I'm saying is that the track record has been amazing. You and I and the boys as well. You know, for just sitting in the corner as well. He's been, look at him. He's already shaking his head a bit just because he doesn't want to go in with any expectations. He doesn't want to hear absolutely anything. And I feel like he's a lot of Travis fans right now because
Yeah.
they're low-key scared.
I know.
I know
That's
a
what it
lot.
is.
I know.
There's a bit of fear. There's a bit of fear.
A lot of Travis fans are low-key scared
Yeah.
because they're like, I've waited 5 fucking years for this album. I mean, I've been in the saddle for such a long time. I've bought into the hype. I've been following the journalism around it. This has to hit for me, and I can't
Yeah.
blame them.
I can't
telling you,
blame them either.
For
I know.
myself, I'm gonna be going in. I want to listen to a new album experience, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
treat it as that.
I'm not going to be looking at it and comparing it to his other work right away. At the end of the day, I just want a quality fucking studio album, and I think that we're going to get that. But before we move into what you guys should be looking out for in the next few days, let's talk about first week sales. So, of course, Astroworld
Is
sold
this okay?
537.
By the way, is this the final
this
prediction?
might be the last prediction.
This,
it might
no,
be.
it is. It is the final
Okay, so
prediction.
where's your money at, bro?
Yeah. Okay. Are we
Let's
gonna do
place a bet on
Yeah,
this.
Okay. What do we do?
$20.
Okay, $20. Fine. All right. So let's say, do we do an over or under sort of thing?
No, whoever's closest.
Okay, whoever's I like that. I like that.
I'm going 420,000 copies with the Utopia.
I'm going 480.
480.
I'm
Wow.
going 480.
I like the optimism.
I'm going for. It's not. Listen, he has been jamming these merch bundles.
I know.
There has been a lot of people purchasing merchandise, vinyls, and I think it's gonna jam
just-
up the streams.
In
Listen,
the
dude,
state of hip hop that we're in, where Uzi's selling in the hundreds and Kendrick can't crack 400. I don't know. I don't know.
my brother, listen to this, bro. If her loss is putting up over 420,
It's Drizzy Drake though.
I understand, but this is Utopia.
We'll
Like,
see.
This is a sought after project.
I know.
This is a hot commodity.
We'll see what we end up getting, but guys, in the next few days, you guys could be looking out for different covers for Utopia. You could be looking out for an official album trailer to Utopia. And of course, the major question on people's mind, the Utopia track list. Will it be revealed? Will the features be hidden? Which I really hope they are hidden, because that makes for a super fun experience when listening to it for the first time. Apart from that, look out for maybe a Utopia stadium tour, as was teased in the K-pop video. But for now, guys, let us know down in the comments. Are you ready for Utopia? And if you guys do want to experience this new Travis Scott album with us that we've been waiting for 5 fucking years, check out the pinned comment or the link in the description. We will be bumping this album with the entire community on Patreon. It's going to be one of the sickest live album reactions that we ever do.
Dude.
So
it's going to be
let's
stupid.
fucking get this,
oh
guys.
My
Let's
goodness.
get this.
Guys, this is why we're here. This is exactly why we're here. This needs to be going down on Friday, guys. My final words, probably the last piece of Travis Scott, Utopia content.
End of an era.
End of an era for NFR, baby. If you've been following us since the very first Utopia video we've done, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and we'll catch you on Friday.